please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Good evening. There we go. Good evening, and congratulations to my esteemed classmates, the class of 2009. Superintendent Harpster, school board members, Principal Hodgson, assembled faculty and staff, parents, relatives, community members, and friends. First, I would like to thank everyone in attendance this evening. This evening's event would not be possible without your instruction, support, and guidance. Tonight, we bid farewell to 4 long years of trial and tribulation, blood, sweat, and tears. We say goodbye to the past and welcome with open arms a new reality, a new dimension of time and space. For some of us, that time and space is on a campus with a Starbucks and an alumni library. For others, it's at a job, putting in a hard day's work. And still others will embark on a call of duty to serve in the military of the United States of America, the greatest nation on earth. However, for all of us, it is unavoidable. We, the class of 2009, are on a collision course with the real world. Yet we as a nation have been here before. Let's go back. In the early 1960s, this great nation was lagging under the weight of past failures and mismanagement. Faced with a perceived knowledge gap, we were at war with an enemy whose existence was predicated on an unwavering desire to destroy our way of life, the American way. However, a figure of great charm and swagger was chosen by the people of this land to lead us to a brighter tomorrow. That man, when faced with the prospect of our greatest rival gaining an insurmountable edge, promised a new world to the American people. He proclaimed, "The moon and the planets are there, and new hopes for knowledge and peace are there. And therefore, as we set sail, we ask God's blessing on the most hazardous and dangerous and greatest adventure of which man has ever embarked." Those were the words of the late, great John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States of America. While that particular statement was made in regards to our space race with the Soviet Union and JFK's promise to put a man on the moon, it still has merit today. In the sky above us, unseen at this hour, to the human eye, lay the moon and the stars, what was once the ceiling for what mankind could achieve. However, space means the same thing now as it did then. I realize that Neil Armstrong has already set foot and planted Old Glory on the moon, but we cannot view space in such a literal sense anymore. There is something bleak and desolate about space, yet there is a magnificent aura that is summoned by its mere mention. Space today represents our daily journeys and adventures on Earth. Space is a perfect metaphor for everyday life. In his short career, JFK inspired a nation whose course was forever changed by his untimely death. However, those same inspiring words still carry as much weight today as they did in 1962. We should strive for the moon and the planets. We should strive for knowledge and peace. In regards to the odyssey that is the American life, it is still hazardous, still dangerous. The world in which we inhabit is one of constant turmoil and strife, one that is becoming increasingly hostile for Americans. The debt we will accumulate upon our next graduation is staggering, and judging from the figures, it is likely to be even more daunting, more menacing than ever before. However, this vast collection of dreamers and thinkers, movers and shakers assembled here today will not be intimidated by these frightening realities that lie ahead, for we are too busy trying to establish our own reality, this new American dream. Looking out upon this vast sea of purple and white, I see what can be succinctly described as greatness, just itching to leave a mark on the world in which we live. However, the greatness that lives within each and every one of us today pales in comparison to the greatness each and every one of us can achieve tomorrow. Here we stand in the 21st century, considered by many to be the Asian century, as China, Japan, and India rise to prominence in the gravity of Earth's atmosphere. However, the funny thing about gravity is that it doesn't exist in space amongst stars, moons, and planets. The metaphorical world in which we, the class of 2009, will inhabit is above gravity. How do I know this? Because all of us assembled here today for the last time are dreamers, shooting stars, reaching for the moon. Yet even if we fail to grab our own personal slice of it, let us not forget that we are already stars. Some will shine brighter than others, becoming constellations and comets, shining almost as bright as the sun itself. But let us never forget that a star is still a star. Our knowledge is great, our swagger divine. God bless the class of 2009.
speaking. Alright, I'm gonna be honest. I originally wasn't going to give a speech. Of course, my English teacher wasn't going to accept that sitting down. Why, I wondered. What could I possibly have to say to make her badger me as she did? Why would anyone care what I had to say? What kind of a message was I destined to deliver, and would it even be important? These questions haunted me throughout the countless nights I'd spent considering this, reconsidering that, blankly staring at the computer screen. But what should I write about? Individuality? Change? Growth? Moving forward? But all of these ideas were just cliches that had no appeal to me. Every speech was going to be on that. Then, while brainstorming, the idea of being outrageous surfaced. As I moved along to other ideas, that one word really stuck with me. Most people in high school conform. They want to be part of a featureless flock, while experiencing a craving to have a spotlight identify their own individual uniformity. They dislike that which is weird, strange, or different, because it scares them. They are afraid of what they don't understand. Throughout high school, we all have experiences that others would consider weird. Take, for example, a group of young adult girls giggling shrilly in a little kids section of Walmart. Then you would see them running throughout the store, trying on random outfits over their clothes and taking pictures of their childish tendencies. Your first reaction? Become irritated at how annoyingly immature these teenagers are. Why? Because they're enjoying themselves? No. It's because they are different, other. They do things a mature young lady would never do, and it frightens you because it's not what you would do. It is strange, and it's just outright rude. Well, forgive them for really living their lives. We need to be able to laugh at ourselves, not only at other people. If we can't laugh at ourselves, we will never live the way we want to live. We would be forever remembered as that serious person who couldn't take a joke. We need to live a little. We need to have fun. Don't worry what anyone else says or thinks, because, as the famous quote goes, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. If we're going to let someone stop us from doing what we want, we are letting them control our lives. So get into that driver's seat, buckle up your seatbelt, and get ready for the ride of your life. Our time is now, class of 2009. Don't let that crazy, zany part of you be hidden and suppressed, because normalcy is the most boring quality a person can possess. Now Molly Chismore will speak about Terrier Pride.
It seems like it was just yesterday that I walked into my first day of preschool in Mrs. Haggerty's class and met so many of you for the first time. That very classroom was where many of our friendships were formed and our memories as a class began. Now, 14 years later, we are sitting here in our caps and gowns, moments away from walking up onto this very stage to receive our diplomas. But before we rush through our last memory as a class, I want to take a few moments to reminisce of our times here at Bellows Falls Union High School. Our high school journeys began at different times. Some of us had faculty members visit our homes, others experienced our first preseason, and for some, the journey began on the first day of school. We were the naive freshmen and ready to conquer it all. It was our time to find our own niches. Some of us found sports, while others found drama and music. Then, there were the handful of students who took on leading our class by either joining student council or being a class officer. Can you remember what you wore the first day of school? If you were nervous or excited? Can you remember your first class? My first class was Freshman Honors English with Mr. Gresser, and there were a handful of us in there. Can you guys remember our countdown to Christmas that was at least 2 months long? Do you remember writing those letters to ourselves? Can you tell how much you've changed since your first year of high school? Can all of you athletes remember all your firsts? The first high school game you played in and how nervous you were? Or the first time you scored a basket, a goal, or a touchdown? Or your first game as a varsity player and your first playoff game? It was freshman year, and it was the Booster Club tournament. We were playing Murdoch, Massachusetts. Needless to say, it was going to be an easy win. So I, as a freshman, was able to play huge minutes. I shot the ball up, and it hit the opposite side of the rim. and bounced in, and that was my first varsity basket. I hope you all can remember specific moments in a game that you'll never forget, but here are some highlights that we've accomplished. Freshman year, the boys track team took home the Division II state title. Our sophomore year, the field hockey team made it to the finals, and everyone traveled up to Burlington to support us and showed their pride in our school's field hockey team. The boys baseball team were MVL champions. Junior year, the boys soccer team won the Josh Cole tournament for the second time in a row. The girls basketball team made it to the Barry Auditorium in the Final Four. Alyssa, Trevor, and Dammy took home individual state titles in track. Senior year, a few seniors received great honors for their hard work on the playing fields. We had seniors make it onto the Vermont All-State teams, had seniors represent the South in the famous North-South battles, and many were named onto the Marble Valley League All-Star teams. Can all of you drama members remember your first musical you participated in? Or the first time you received a major role? Was it Cinderella, The Wizard of Oz, The Music Man, or Guys and Dolls? I believe I speak for many that the performance of The Wizard of Oz was simply amazing. Mary did an outstanding job as Dorothy, and the fellow seniors in the play did an amazing job as well. All the plays that you have participated in as young actors and actresses have revealed just how creative, talented our school is. Finally, our class officers and student council members. Can you remember how anxious you were to find out what our class had voted? Our class officers over the past 4 years have pulled us together when we needed it most, and you have never let us down. Imagine if we didn't have student council. The inter-class rival that takes place during Winter Carnival would never have taken place. And I know we all can remember our takedown of the senior class our junior year. No matter what path we chose, we all had people there to support us along the way. As I take the time to mention mine, please take the time to think of yours. To the parents of the 3 most amazing children, Chris and Kim, thank you for giving me the privilege of babysitting your children. I can't imagine what it would be like if I didn't. You let me become part of your family, and I'll truly miss my second family next year while I'm away. To the person who has instilled competitiveness in me and taught me all about Terrier Pride, Jane. I first want to say thank you for keeping your promise you made 18 years ago, because I couldn't imagine not playing basketball for you. We've had our ups and downs these past 4 years, but all they did was bring us closer together. You are an inspiration to all that get the opportunity to know you, because to know you is to love you. To the person who has the biggest heart in the entire world, my brother Peter. When I look back at all my favorite memories, there aren't many that you're not in. We've been the best of friends since day one, and nothing will ever change that. Even though our difference in age has separated us, I know that if I was ever to need anything, you would be there for me. Thanks for everything, Thomas. The person who has always supported me, even when you were far, my dad. Thanks for always being a constant support for me, and no matter what, I'll always be your little girl. My #1 fan, role model, and best friend, my mom. I'll miss my good luck hugs every morning before games, our chick flick nights, and Monday night shows. You've always been there to guide and support me, and you've always stood by my side. I always know which way to turn because I know no matter what, you'll always be there for me. However, regardless of the path we chose, the people in our lives, whether it is our family, coaches, or teachers, have always told us to have pride in what we're doing. What exactly is pride? As the dictionary would define it, a feeling of self-respect and personal worth. As I've learned over the past 4 years, pride is not something one can teach or drill into us. It is something that a person must feel and believe. I hope that you are proud of the path you chose in high school, but most of all, that you're proud you graduated from Bellows Falls Union High School. This school holds hundreds of our class memories. It is where we came together to cheer each other on in athletics, musicals, winter carnivals, and so much more. As a class, we've accomplished many great achievements, but we did it because class members among us had pride and showed pride in what we were doing, because that is what terriers do. We show our terrier pride to everyone, no matter what the occasion is. Even though, as we sit here today, many of you are thinking, I'm so excited to finally be out of here. However, I hope that when you look back 5, 10, or 15 years from now, you'll remember all the great times we've had here. When you speak of your high school days to your family members or friends, I hope you have fond memories. The terrier pride that we have created during our high school years as a class will forever live on. When you hear the words Springfield or Front Mountain, you'll always cringe, because your purple blood is running through your veins, and they will forever be our rivals. Ultimately, as we end this chapter of our lives, keep a little bit of the purple blood in your vein, because once you're a terrier, you're always a terrier. And next, we'll have Eliza Mashur talking to you about getting lost.
Tonight is the end of the familiar and the beginning of something new. For the past 12 years, we've sped down the highway of our lives. This straight, flat road has allowed us to see exactly where we're going and has allowed us to look in our rearview mirrors and see the past. This road has had its surprises and problems, like debris scattered in the middle of our lane. However, for the most part, we've been able to expect all that has come our way. We've watched out the windows as the scenery remained the same. This highway has provided us with a feeling of safety, and we have clearly enjoyed that comfort. Tonight, we've pressed the brakes. We've all stopped and are now confused. What happens now? The familiar scenery of the highway is the same, but there is a roadblock in front of us. We can go no further on this road. There is no detour, no exit ramp, no alternate road. It's time for us to find our own route. But how? Now, we leave the familiar world behind. It's the moment in our lives where we must remove ourselves from what we know and those we've surrounded ourselves with. Walk to the side of the road. Climb over the guardrail. Step to the edge of the woods. Now run. Start running and don't stop. Don't stop when you're tired or when you're feeling weak. Just run. While running, make sure that you're taking in your surroundings. Don't worry about branches or rocks in the way. They will trip you up and make you fall, but get up and keep running. When you're sure that you're lost, with no hope of turning around and finding your way back, stop. You will be breathing heavy, and you will likely be scraped up and dirty, but just stop, look around, and listen. There will be no one around you, and the silence of the woods will seem almost overwhelming. This is the place where you want to be. Walking across this stage tonight, our biggest fears of the future, what it will bring, and that we will become lost with no direction. It is scary, but soon we will realize that what we fear the most can become a significant force within our lives. Some of us may have the next year planned out in our minds. Do we really know what it will bring, though? We all may have a goal for the next 10 years, but will that goal be accomplished? One thing is certain. We don't know what our future will bring, and we cannot plan for it. Therefore, we must allow ourselves to become lost. Standing in the middle of the woods, you have caught your breath, and now it's time to move. However, don't begin running again. Walk slowly. Keep your eyes up, observing the trees, the landscape, and the environment that surrounds you. This is where you will find out who you truly are and what you truly want. That silence and solitude will allow us to determine who we are as individuals and what we yearn to accomplish. No longer will we be surrounded by the distractions of others' advice and expectations. It is a time to clear our minds of all of the information that we are continually trying to sort out. Solitude will enable us to think freely, as an individual, with our own interests and expectations to guide us. The only hope that we have of accomplishing what we personally strive for is to come to a self-realization that will shape our minds, souls, and lives. It will not allow us to plan for our entire future, but it will permit us to make and complete our goals. As you walk through the woods, you will realize that you are a different person from everyone that you ever have and ever will know. The characteristics that make up who you are as an individual are not alike anyone else's. However, don't be fooled into the belief that once you know your true self, you're out of the woods. For much of your life, you will remain wandering, seemingly aimlessly, but do not be afraid. Your time spent in the woods is not wasted. It is the most important time of your life. While lost in the woods, there is no path. There is no road to follow, and we must create our own trail. No one has or will follow that same path. The option of turning around will not exist. There will be no way to determine where you have been, and attempting to trace your steps backward will only lessen the value of your experience. Let the past be the past and continue to move towards the future. Do not attempt to find your way out of the woods. You have allowed yourself to get lost for a reason, and to try to find a way out will hinder your ability to come to the self-realization that remains such a crucial part of your life. Some of us will remain lost for a long while, and others for a very short time. However, as I look out across this group of graduates, I'm sure that none of us will remain lost forever. When we have reached our own self-identification, we will come out of the woods and we will know where we are. We will emerge into the lives we have longed for as the people we have grown to be. We will be bruised and dirty, but we will have a sense of fulfillment that we will carry for the remainder of our lives. As we walk across this stage tonight, do not fear the unknown. Don't be afraid to get lost. If anything, get lost on purpose. Let yourself wander and discover your own identity. Being lost isn't scary. It is an essential part of life. It won't last forever, and when you return from the solitude of the woods, you will know who you are and what you long for. So, to tonight's graduating class, the class of 2009, let's get lost. And now Allie Mann will talk to you about running.
As we've grown together, we have come upon countless choices and opportunities. We have also all had the chance to discover and pursue our passions. Running has become this passion for me. Running, I've come to learn, is more than just other sports punishment. It is a sport defined by diligent hard work and an abundance of mental strength. It's about developing a race strategy and pushing yourself past limitations. This sport is about mind over matter and resisting negative temptations brought out by physical pain. Running is about what you put into the race, because that's exactly what you'll get out of it. In all of these respects, and plenty more, running is the greatest metaphor for life. Joe Henderson, an author for Runner's World magazine, once stated, "Your toughness is made up of equal parts, persistence and experience. You don't so much outrun your opponents as outlast and outsmart them. And the toughest opponent of all is the one inside your head." We have all come upon times in life where we honestly felt as though we couldn't make it any further. These are the times where persistence is key. I specifically remember one occasion during my first year of cross country. We were running repeat half miles, a deadly workout. The previous night I had rolled my ankle and it was becoming more than bothersome. I told my coach about my injury and he replied with this, "Allie, now that you're a distance runner, I'll be surprised when something doesn't hurt." With these clearly sympathetic words, I went on with my workout. From this, I realized that life will never truly reach perfection, no matter how hard we all strive to achieve this goal. How we deal with these imperfections, however, determines who we are and how successful we will become. Whether it's a rolled ankle or endless workouts, running directly corresponds to this constant battle with oneself, and in this battle, diligence is essential towards success. Henderson's definition of toughness also included experience. As we move on from high school, we not only look back on the experience we've gained, but look ahead towards the vulnerability we face in our lack of experience. We may feel confident in our positions as seniors, but at times threatened by the challenges we have yet to face. As you race, you develop a strategy for each particular competition. In cross country, you come to know all the other schools' courses and where the difficulty lies within those courses. You also encounter various opponents who you either admire, dismiss, or begrudge. However, there are also competitors who you fear, but haven't raced against. These competitors are our future. We've heard so much about them, but haven't had the chance to encounter these challenges for ourselves. And, although sometimes intimidating, facing these competitors often becomes both exhilarating and rewarding. The race against oneself is the most demanding and strenuous of all. You constantly push to break your own personal records, and only you have the power to do so. In running and in life, ultimately, you're the one making the choices. It's your training methods, your state of mind, and your determination throughout the race that establish the final outcome. Running instills an independence within oneself that becomes a necessity throughout the future. In running, you don't have that team to hold you up or let you down. All you have is the training you've put yourself through and your own will to succeed. In life, we won't always have others to rely on. Our peers can't always help us, and our family may not always be at our beck and call. At this point, past experiences allow you to make your own choices and grow from each enduring experience, whether positive or negative. As you look back on the past, you may not remember each specific time or place you earned in a race, but you remember the struggles you endured to achieve these standings. As we gather here today, we don't remember every test we took or every grade we got. We do, however, remember our journey. We remember the people that were around us, whether they were our competitors or our teammates. We remember our disbelief as someone told us a time in a race or a grade on an exam. We must remember and use our past experience to drive ourselves into the future and the countless opportunities that it offers. Class of 2009, it's time for us to get ready, get set, and go. Now we'll have Carrie Record with Staggering Footprints.
How do you sum up the past 4 years of our lives into one short little 5-minute speech? It took me the past month to realize it's impossible. There is no way I could stand up here today and quickly put into words the past years that we've spent together. And finding a message that would resonate in your minds after we leave here today seemed nearly impossible as well. So what did I do? The same thing that most of us have done a lot throughout high school. I procrastinated. 2 days before graduation, as I'm almost finished writing my speech about the footprints that we leave behind us as we journey through life, I started over, planning to write about something completely different because I thought I'd go insane if I spent any more time pondering the footsteps we've left within our school and those that we are yet to leave behind. I realized that this was exactly what my entire speech was about. I'd stumbled, staggered astray from the original goal of my speech, and created an entirely new speech solely because I was frustrated. And lo and behold, 45 minutes later, I was done writing my speech. Throughout the past years, we've all gotten frustrated, changed our minds, and at times may have even wanted to give up. And when we look back on those footprints, we will know that it is in those moments that we stumbled or even fell. But that is what shapes us as individuals. Over time, we have been the subjects of a variety of expectations placed upon us by not only teachers, but also by parents, coaches, members of the community, and even one another. We have been expected to walk along a straight course, but in truth, everyone stumbles along the path of life. This ideal path consists of everything from simply showing up to school day after day to being accepted into a prestigious college or making a game-winning save. But if we were to live up to all of these expectations, who would we truly be? We'd all be like robots, with no excitement in our lives and fearful of making mistakes. Instead, we have become individuals. So the way I see it, our journey through life is similar to the sand at the beach, which is everywhere and sticks to everything. Most people are irritated by it, but the beach just wouldn't be the same without it. After the sun goes down and the people shake out their towels and pack up their beach bags, the sand can be seen as a map of the day, thousands of footprints overlapping one another. All are different. Some are small and staggered from young children struggling through the soft sand, while others are deep from a man or woman playfully jogging towards the water to cool off from the heat of the day. Although it is easier to notice these tracks in the soft sand that meets the tide, footprints are left everywhere, even within our very own school. For years to come, teachers will still have copies of our essays to share with future classes. Mr. Obi will still be using Ali Mann's trick that Burundi is Undi to help students remember that Burundi is under Rwanda on the map. Megan Hitchcock's oil paintings will probably stand on display in the art room, and morning announcements may never quite sound right without Peter Francis reciting, "You stay classy, Bells Falls." Not only are we leaving physical reminders that the class of 2009 once filled the school with our presence, but each of us are individually leaving footprints that cannot be seen. Once we walk away today with our diplomas in hand, we all must realize that we have the ability to set our own standards for every aspect of our lives. We all have been expected to lay a path to success, but success is merely a goal which in truth has not yet been set. At any given moment, we have the power to alter that goal, to define it, or completely recreate it. So from now on, our biggest expectation will be to make wise choices, the choices that we feel are right. Of course, we will not always make good decisions, and that is when our footprints will show that we have stumbled or walked astray. Instead of looking at these instances as mistakes, let's view them as opportunities to learn, to grow, and most importantly, we cannot allow our stumbles to hold us back. So always remember this anonymous proverb: footprints in the sands of time are never made by sitting down. So get up, get out there, make your choices, and learn from your mistakes. But never be afraid to stumble or even fall down, because when we look back upon our own footprints, we will see the importance of every staggering step.
And next is Greg Kyle talking about our unique
I don't think I will shock anyone here today when I say my high school has no walls. I find it refreshing at times to subdue reaction. While those of us here today, dressed in purple and white, of our unique alma mater, have grown accustomed to the ambient noise of our viewing, my previous statement often surprises and shocks people who grew up in what is viewed as more of a traditional school setting. While this feature, born from the 1970s, often makes our school the object of jokes of students who have visited or heard of Bellows Falls, and often students who walk through this school's halls, if we stop to think, then we realize something. There really is nothing to laugh at. The choice made by those who constructed this school almost 40 years ago created a school that is more than just an institution of learning. That choice made it a symbol of a life well lived. When the school was constructed, the D wing was created without anything that could constitute a wall. Though some may argue that there is a wall, however minute, that makes up one side of the earth science room. The theory behind this was that students would have the benefits of a one-room schoolhouse in a building designed for multiple classes. I must admit that the design worked. As students, we have learned much more from this open room format than we could have at any other institution. For example, who here will admit with me that they have, on occasion, found that while their bodies were physically in one class, their ears and mind were taking lessons from the teacher over the divider? The constant ambient noise also has allowed us to develop an ability to concentrate on the work in front of us, rather than everything going on around us. Still, perhaps the most useful function of our school's design is the ability to relieve us of from what otherwise would be very dull days. We have all heard the occasional strange sounds emanating from neighbors' rooms. We have all heard the sudden blasting volume of a movie 3 classrooms down. I personally remember well having Mr. Willis's AP U.S. history class right next door to Mr. D'Souza's psych and social class. This juxtaposition allowed me to realize that while psych and social is an interesting topic, when sentence fragments are heard out of context, you are left with a great misunderstanding of what has been said. I also remember sitting in Mr. Divis's room one day and hearing one of the math department's classes singing what can only be considered a very rousing chorus of the quadratic formula. The stories go on, and I'm sure that many of my classmates gathered before me could each fill volumes with their own tales of strange discussions overheard in our school with no walls. However, as useful as our school's layout may be regarding education, it also teaches its own lesson. The school, in its simplicity, has taught us how to live life. Like our open school, life is best lived with an openness to everything we encounter. Our school is not divided into one solid math room or English room or science room. Granted, they each have their own places, but if the dividers were to suddenly disappear, there would be no way to tell one class from the next. In life, we do not see the world nicely divided between English, science, foreign languages, or any other topic. People are not divided in this way. Just in this school alone, I have been able to explore every aspect of life: the liberal arts, the hard sciences, athletics, music, theater, dance, language, and I've been no less amazed to see how many other people have chosen the same path of exploration. As frustrating as it often was, students had to constantly make decisions between practices. While this could easily lead to frustration and panic, it also demonstrated how versatile the students and staff of this school are. This school has taught us more than we could ever believe. We take for granted the freedom and enlightenment we have been granted by our Wallace community. Through this school, we have been joined as one body of students, one community, one family. We have learned how to concentrate despite distractions, and may now even find silence deafening. Through example, we have been instructed by our very alma mater that there is no segregation in scholarship. Every aspect of the liberal arts and sciences are intricately interwoven and exist as one being within the human understanding. Remember, all of us gathered here in purple and white, we owe our kind mother a debt of kindness in return. For she has helped us to grow in ways that the cold, divided institutions constructed of cinder block and cement could never offer. We leave here today with a mind expanded not only because of our teachers, but because of the integrity and ingenuity and foresight of those who designed this school. Never forget this, my classmates, for we enter into a new world today, a world which we have been prepared for by our marvelous teachers, friends, and school. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2009.
If you're following along in the program, you know what's next. And just before we get to that, I want to simply give my congratulations to the class of 2009. I am so very proud of each and every one of you for all of your hard work and your great accomplishments. Congratulations. And now to the part you've all been waiting for, the presentation of the diplomas to the class of 2009. Yep, go ahead. Go ahead and roll it out of the way. No, I think you're all set. You take that spot right up there.
Let's begin. Peter Mark Francis, Class President, National Honor Society. Eliza Morgan Mashur, Class Treasurer, National Honor Society. Taylor Ward Aquaviva. Sarah Rachel Andrews. Melissa Jean Atwood. Jenna Mary Austin. Brian Edward Bashaw, National Honor Society. Micah Ross Balata. Britta Elise Brennan, National Honor Society. Kara Elizabeth Chavey, National Honor Society. Brianne Elise Chase. Keely Jordan Chipman, National Honor Society. Molly Jean Chisholm, National Honor Society. Riley Miller Clark. Luke Kearns Conway. Gabriel James Cornelia. Benjamin Allen Cushing. Carrie Lynn Ruffin, Class Secretary, National Honor Society. Trevor James Fuller, Class Vice President, National Honor Society. Christopher Michael Dawson. Ashley Elizabeth Bissett. Nicholas John Dyson. John William Jordan. Sydney Alexis Doyle. Alyssa Caroline Dupree. Verity Cree Fontaine. Audrey Marie Forrest, National Honor Society. Kyle Robert Gracie Jones. Valerie Jean Giro, National Honor Society. Elizabeth Allison Greer. Craig Matthew Dial, National Honor Society. Megan Rose Harris. Megan Beth Hitchcock, National Honor Society. Courtney Nicole James, National Honor Society. Derek Maxwell Johnson. Richard Michael Judd. Joyce Evelyn Kearney, National Honor Society. Stephen James King. Jacob Matthew King. Kaya Rose Labadie, National Honor Society. Adam Joseph Lansbury. Brooke Alexandra Lequet. Erin Elizabeth Lockery. Alexandria Rowley Mann, National Honor Society. Jennifer Elizabeth Mann. Chelsea Lee Milko. Julian Catherine Mitchell Love. Alicia Lee Monty. Damiola Abdullah Mustafa. Jennifer Madeline Muzzy. Tony Lynn Muzzy. Ezekiel Richard Neaton. Travis John Noyes. Samuel William Hogg. Shelby Pryor. Nazafatur Rami. Kenneth Joseph Reed. Amanda Rose Rice. Johanna Melissa Rodriguez. Mary Pearl Romo. Brianna Ashley Sanborn. Mandy Arlene Salt, National Honor Society. Mindy Arlene Salt. Melissa Margaret Stillinger. Derek James Smiths. Tyson Carl Snide. Shay Jazz Sobolewski. Benjamin Edward Stocker. Melanie Marie Toussaint. Ella Francis Bosworth. Cameron Paul Walls. Joanne Marie Welch. Colby Philip White. Evan Russell White, National Honor Society. Kelly Ann Wilson. Quentin Phelps Young III, National Honor Society. Ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you the Bellows Falls Union High School class of 2009.
At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Robert Lockerbie to the podium, please. Mr. Robert Lockerbie. As a token of our appreciation, we, the class of 2009, would like to present you with this honorary diploma for enduring countless years as a teacher, coach, mentor, and friend to our class. Thank you, Mr. Lockerbie.
There's only one award that's given out at graduation here at the Bellows Falls Union High School, and that's the Alumni Award. And so I would like to invite to the podium right now Ms. Samantha Simons on behalf of the Alumni Association.
Good evening. This year's Alumni Award is awarded to an outstanding member of our community who has touched the lives of the entire Bellows Falls Union High School community. A hardworking student, a strong athlete, a polite and courteous young man with a voice that has been heard throughout the entire building and the grounds of the Bellows Falls Union High School for the past 4 years. This year's Alumni Prize is awarded to Peter Francis.
This thing feels so weird when it's on the other side of your cap. All right, I'll speak up. All right, so as president and on behalf of my classmates, I would like to thank everyone assembled here this evening and thank you for attending the graduation ceremony for the class of 2009. I would also like to take this opportunity to announce that the class will be donating a maple tree to the Bellows Falls Union High School to be planted in the front of the building as a token of our class's appreciation. And I finally get an opportunity to speak to each and every one of you for the last time as now graduates of Bellows Falls Union High School. And I'll just say this, your heart is free, have the courage to follow it. So this concludes the graduation ceremony for the class of 2009. You stay classy, Bellows Falls.
Would you all please rise for the playing and the singing of the alma mater?